Well, hello and welcome back to Walking Movies. I'm Nick, and what a difference a few days makes. Let me tell you. It's still the summer, you wouldn't believe it. I'm now 40. I've also had a haircut, but the weather's crazy. Like, as you can probably hear, there's some wind. It's just insane. So today I'm off to see Elemental, the latest Disney Pixar film. Now, what can I tell you about this film? Not much. Can't even tell you who the cast is because I didn't look that up before I come out. What I can say about the film is it's not done particularly well. Well, weirdly, like it's kind of like got the unfortunate distinction of having Pixar's lowest grossing opening weekend in their history, but it's had quite strong holds on the subsequent weeks. There's not been much of a drop, so it's actually doing better than it looked initially, but it's not doing wonderfully great. Over here, similar kind of story, and has got more competition now because more films have come out since the US release and then the delayed UK release. So there's not much in the competition of kids films until the end of July, which is when Turtles Mutant Mayhem comes out. But before that is Mission Impossible, there's Barbie. I don't know if you were saying the kids see Oppenheimer, but you never know. So yeah, it's got some stiff competition. So if it's already like this now, it's not going to have a great run. And I do think that this is because of the Disney Plus effect. This is people now, and even like I was talking to my wife about it, and like I said, like, should we all go and see it? And my daughter kind of wanted to see it, and she was like, it's just going to be on Disney Plus in a few months, so just wait. And that's the attitude now, and I don't blame her for that. But I think a lot of people are doing the same thing. They're just not interested in going to the cinema, paying all that money out when you're going to see it on your streaming service in just a few weeks. I get it, they've cannibalised their own cinematic audience by doing it, but there you go. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this. I've wanted to see it for quite a while. I thought the first trailer for it looked good, like the animation looked good, and you know, who doesn't like a Pixar film? Some people don't. But yeah, so look, the wind's picking up again now, so I'm going to stop this, and I'll be back after this short break with my thoughts on Elemental. Right, it's still really windy, and I listened back to my last audio and the wind was quite heavy on that, so I will continue this review once I get home. Okay, so I'm now back from seeing Elemental. Isn't it ironic that the reason I'm having to record this at home is because of the elements when I was outside? I just bought a new microphone. I thought, I'll try and jazz these up a little bit. And it said it was plug and play, so I got the cables and didn't get a chance to try it before I left, and then it just failed on me when I was using it. So yeah, that wasn't great, but at least you can hear me better now. I'm back. So, Elemental. This was a bit of a surprise, I must say. Obviously, it's been out a while now. Came out in America back in June, and we got it a few weeks later. It didn't do well. I think I mentioned at the beginning of this that it had their lowest opening for a Pixar film in their history, but it's had quite a strong hold as the weeks have gone on. And I went to see it at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday, the second weekend it was out, and I did a quick calculation of the seats in the cinema that I was in. There was about 150 people in there in a 200 seat cinema. So I mean, it was busy, considering that it's not the summer holidays yet, considering it's the second weekend. That is the busiest I've been to a screening of a film in quite some time. So that was quite surprising. There's a short at the beginning of the film as well called Cole's Date, which is from the Up franchise. I say franchise because there's an animated series now as well, which was good. It was a nice little short film. I forgot that used to be like a thing that they used to do all the time with their films. Was they used to have these short little films before them, and yeah, it was nice to see that. It was a nice little film. But onto the main attraction itself, Elemental. So the film, I'm not going to give spoilers, but the film is about a girl called Ember, who is a teenager who is looking to take over the family business when she's come of age, but she isn't entirely convinced that's what she actually wants to do, and she's not the best fit for it. She has some anger issues, which when you're working in a shop with customers isn't the best thing that you could do. She meets Wade, who is a water element, and of course water and fire don't generally mix, so from the get-go there are some issues, but during their time together they come to understand each other's differences and fall in love, which is lovely. I thought this was going to be similar to Zootopia, where the message in that film really was more about racism in society. This film actually is more about first and second generation immigrants, because that's what this film starts off about. The fire, Ember's parents leave their homeland to travel to Elemental City, which is a city not designed for fire people, but they want to start a new life and explore the world. So I was quite surprised. I didn't realise. The impression from the trailers was it was going to be more along those lines and less about the immigration stuff. But so for that was a nice surprise. I actually found the film to be funny. I thought the story was interesting. Let's talk about the things that I liked about the film. So the story itself, I thought it was a good story. I thought it was an interesting take on a kind of familiar theme now. That kind of thing about people, kind of not getting along and then, finding out ways that they can help each other. I actually thought the humour in the film was really good as well. Like, there was quite a lot of jokes, a few adulty jokes as well in there, which was interesting. But I did laugh at this more than I was expecting to. So that was a pleasant surprise. And also, I've got to give props to the animation and the score as well. The animation at times looked really, really impressive. Like the way that they use the water effects, especially. But yeah, when I saw the trailers, that was a thing that I thought could be interesting. And seeing a final product, yeah, the animation is really good. What I didn't like about the film, it felt a bit safe at times. Like, you could kind of see where this film was going to be ending up with very early on. I thought anyway. And yes, I get it's a Pixar film. It's designed for families. I don't like to say it's aimed at kids, because I do think with Pixar films they are casting that net a bit bigger than just kids. I mean, all animated films are aimed predominantly at children, but normally have things in there for adults to enjoy as well. But I feel with Pixar that they're not aimed at younger kids, they're aimed at slightly older kids and more towards adults as well. That said, I still feel it was a very safe story. You knew where it was going to kind of end up. I also didn't think it was as good as traditional Pixar. When I say traditional Pixar, I'm talking about that first decade and a bit of Pixar films, where it was all these really kind of crazy out there concepts. Obviously, I mentioned Up because there was a short film at the beginning of that, but I mean, that's quite a risky film for a big studio. Or WALL-E, which had the first 20 minutes or so in almost silence. Things like that are what Pixar kind of excel in, and they have, as time's gone on, become a bit more safe, a bit more predictable, a bit a bit too much like Disney, really, when you think about it. And that's not to say the film isn't good. I said I enjoyed it. I'm glad that I saw it, but you know, Pixar are not the studio that they once were, and I think a lot of people feel that. You know, you've only got things like Lightyear, which was quite a big misstep for them to see that, and also the fact that I've talked before about sometimes not knowing what's a Pixar and what's a Disney film anymore because they can be so interchangeable. It's certainly better than Onward, and I know that when I saw that film, I kind of gave it a glowing review, and time's not been kind to that film the more that I watched it. But I do think this is a better film overall. So, with that said, what am I going to score this film? I am going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it is a good film. I think it is enjoyable. I don't think it's going to go down as classic Pixar, but I definitely think it's a good Pixar film. And yeah, I mean, I was going to say they haven't done good films recently, but they have, of course. Like Soul was good. Turning Red was really good. Like I think Turning Red's a better film overall than this, I think. But that's, you know, not to say this isn't enjoyable. If you've got kids and if you are looking for something to take them to go and see as the summer holidays kick off, you could do a lot worse than see Elemental. So, should you go and see this at the cinema? Yeah, I think it is. You know, I enjoyed seeing it on a big screen. You know, the animation did certainly pop, and you know, things like that always look better on a big screen. So yes, I completely understand people are going to want to wait for Disney Plus to see this film. I understand that, but for me, you know, it's worth seeing at the cinema if you can. So yeah, that's it. That's my review of Elemental. Next up, I believe, is my Atomic Blonde double bill of Oppenheimer and Barbie, in that order. You can't possibly see it the other way around, surely. You need something uplifting after Oppenheimer. So yes, I'll be seeing that opening weekend. And until next time, just remember that Flynn lives.